The ice drilled bit through the frozen ground with a loud grinding sound. Dr. Maya Rodriguez wiped sweat from her face, even though the air around her was freezing cold. She had been digging in Antarctica for 3 weeks now, looking for old ice samples. But today felt different. "Maya, you need to see this," called Peter Collins from across the dig site. He was the team's rock expert, and his voice sounded strange, worried, maybe even scared. Maya walked over to where Peter stood. He was pointing down into the hole they had been drilling. The ice around the edges looked wrong somehow. It had a blue glow that seemed to come from inside. "That's not normal ice," said Lisa Hayes, their animal expert. She knelt down and touched the strange ice with her gloved hand. "It feels warm. Ice shouldn't feel warm." Maya looked closer. Deep in the hole, she could see something dark, something big, something that definitely was not ice or rock. "Get the bigger drill," Maya said. "We're going deeper." It took them 6 hours to clear enough ice to see what was buried below. When they finally broke through, all 3 scientists stood in silence. None of them could believe what they were looking at. It was a ship, but not like any ship made by humans. The metal was black, but seemed to shine with its own light. The shape was smooth and curved, like it had been grown instead of built, and it was huge. The part they could see was already bigger than a football field. "How old is this ice?" Maya asked Peter. Peter checked his instruments twice before answering. "At least 30,000 years. Maybe more." "That's impossible," Lisa said. "Humans weren't even building boats 30,000 years ago." Maya felt her heart beating fast. This was the kind of discovery that changed everything. She pulled out her radio and called the research station. "Base camp. This is Dr. Rodriguez. We need help out here, and we need it now." Captain Jake Turner arrived the next morning with a team of soldiers. He was a big man with serious eyes who worked for Earth's military. Maya didn't like having soldiers around her dig site, but she knew this was too big for just scientists to handle. "Show me," Jake said. Maya led him to the hole. Jake looked down at the ship and was quiet for a long time. "Have you been inside?" he asked. "Not yet. We wanted to wait for good. No one goes in until my team checks it for dangers." Jake's soldiers set up lights and ropes. They lowered cameras into the hole to look around. After 2 hours, Jake climbed down himself. When he came back up, his face was pale. "There's a way inside," he said. "The ship has some kind of door, and it's open." Dr. Sam Wright arrived that afternoon. He was a language expert who could read old writing from around the world. Maya hoped he could help understand any writing they might find on the ship. 30,000 years, Sam said when Maya explained what they had found. "That's older than any human writing we know about." "Maybe it's not human writing," Lisa said. Sam looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean maybe humans didn't build this ship. The first team went into the ship the next day." Maya, Jake, Sam, and 2 soldiers climbed down into the hole and through the open door. Inside, the ship was even stranger than outside. The walls seemed to glow with soft light, even though they couldn't find any light sources. The floors were smooth and warm under their feet, and everywhere they looked, there were symbols carved into the metal. "These symbols," Sam said, running his hand over the wall, "they're not like anything I've ever seen, but they feel familiar somehow." They walked through long hallways that curved and twisted. The ship was much bigger inside than it looked from above. After an hour of walking, they found what looked like a control room. In the center of the room was a large chair facing a wall, covered in symbols and lights. Some of the lights were blinking slowly, like the ship was still alive. "It still has power," Jake said. "After 30,000 years, it still has power." Maya touched one of the symbols on the wall. As soon as her finger made contact, the wall lit up. New symbols appeared, moving and changing. The whole room began to hum with a low sound. "Maya, step back," Jake said, raising his weapon. But Maya couldn't move. The symbols were beautiful, and somehow she felt like she almost understood them, like they were trying to tell her something important. Then the humming stopped. The lights on the wall went dark, except for one small panel near the chair. Sam walked over to look at it. "These symbols are different," he said. "Simpler. Like they're meant to be read by someone who doesn't know the language yet." Lisa was looking at something else. "Maya, come see this." On another wall, there were pictures carved into the metal. They showed tall figures standing next to smaller ones. The tall figures had long arms and big eyes. The smaller figures looked like humans. "It's a story," Lisa said. "The tall ones are teaching the small ones. Look, here they're showing them how to make fire. Here they're pointing at the stars." Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold air. "You think these tall ones lived on Earth?" "I think they lived with humans," Lisa said. 30,000 years ago. Jake was studying his instruments. "This ship is sending out some kind of signal," he said. "A radio signal, but stronger than anything we can make." "Sending a signal where?" Maya asked. Jake looked up at her with worried eyes. "Into space." That night, back at base camp, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the ship and the symbols and the pictures on the walls. Somewhere out in space, someone might be receiving that signal. Someone who built that ship 30,000 years ago. Someone who might be coming back for it. Dr. Kevin Park arrived 3 days later. He was a scientist who studied alien life, even though no one had ever found any before. When he saw the ship, he was so excited he could barely speak. "This changes everything," he said. "This proves we're not alone." "We're not alone," Maya corrected. 30,000 years ago, we weren't alone. But where are they now? Kevin spent hours studying the signal the ship was sending. On his third day there, he found something that made him run to find Maya. "The signal isn't random," he said, breathing hard from running. "It's a message. The same message, over and over." "What does it say?" Kevin looked scared. "I don't know. But yesterday," something answered. 6 months had passed since they found the ship. The ice around it was gone now, melted away by the warmth that came from the strange metal. The ship sat in a deep pit, surrounded by buildings and equipment that the government had brought in. Tony Mitchell was the best engineer Earth had. He spent every day inside the ship, trying to understand how it worked. The ship seemed to like him. When Tony touched the walls, they would light up and show him pictures of how different parts worked. "It's like the ship wants to teach me," Tony told Dr. Claire Bennett, the team's main scientist. "Every day I learned something new." Claire was studying the ship's power source. It was unlike anything humans had ever built. The power came from somewhere deep inside the ship, but she couldn't figure out how it worked. "Tony, look at this," Claire said, pointing to a screen that showed numbers and symbols. "The power output is impossible. This ship makes more energy than a nuclear power plant, but I can't find any fuel." "Maybe it doesn't need fuel," Tony said. "Maybe it gets power from something we don't understand yet." Dr. Ryan Murphy was studying something even stranger. He had found a room in the ship full of what looked like medical equipment, but when he studied it closer, he realized it wasn't for treating sickness. It was for changing living things. "The ship has a complete record of human DNA," Ryan told Maya one morning. "But not just normal human DNA. It has patterns I've never seen before. Patterns that might explain why humans got smarter so fast 30,000 years ago." Maya felt that chill again. "You think they changed us?" "I think they helped us become what we are today." While the scientists studied the ship, Dr. Julie Foster watched the skies. She was an expert on radio signals from space. Her job was to listen for the answer that Dr. Kevin Park had detected. The answer came every few days. A long, complex message from somewhere far beyond Earth's solar system. Dr. Sam Wright worked day and night, trying to understand what it meant. "It's definitely a language," Sam said, showing Maya pages covered with symbols. And it's getting longer each time, like they're trying to tell us more. Amy Davis worked with Sam on the language problem. She was good with patterns and codes. After weeks of work, she figured out the basic structure of the alien message. It's not just random words, Amy told the team during a meeting. It has a clear beginning and end, and it repeats certain symbol groups. What kind of symbol groups? Maya asked. The kind you use when you're telling someone you're coming home. President Helen Carter arrived at the site 2 weeks later. She was a serious woman who rarely smiled. Maya could tell she was worried about something big. Dr. Rodriguez, the president said, I need to know exactly what we're dealing with here. Maya showed her through the ship. The president was quiet as they walked through the hallways and rooms. When they reached the control room, she stopped and stared at the wall of symbols. How much of this do we understand? She asked. More every day, Maya said. Tony has figured out some of the basic systems. Claire is working on the power source. Ryan is studying their medical technology. And the signal. It's still broadcasting. And they're still answering. The president was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Dr. Rodriguez, what do you think they want? Maya had been thinking about that question for months. I think they want their ship back. General Carl Brown was the president's military advisor. He was a big man with gray hair who had fought in 3 wars. He didn't like the idea of aliens coming to Earth. Madam President, he said during a meeting with the science team, we need time to study this technology. The medical advances alone could save millions of lives. The power source could solve our energy problems forever. Dr. Rachel Green had been studying the ship's medical bay for months. She had already learned how to cure diseases that had killed humans for thousands of years. The ship's medical technology is incredible, Rachel told the president. I've seen it repair damaged organs, cure cancer, even regrow lost limbs. If we can understand how it works, we could eliminate most human suffering. But Dr. Martinez, a philosopher who studied right and wrong, had different concerns. We have to ask ourselves a hard question, Martinez said. This isn't our technology. We found it, but we didn't build it. Do we have the right to keep it? The debate went on for weeks. Scientists wanted to study the ship more. Military leaders wanted to use its technology for defense. Politicians worried about what would happen when the aliens arrived. Meanwhile, the signal kept broadcasting, and the answers kept coming back. One morning, Dr. Wright ran into the main meeting room with papers in his hand. His face was excited and scared at the same time. I've translated part of the message, he said, breathing hard. The basic meaning, anyway. Everyone in the room went quiet. What does it say? President Carter asked. Sam looked down at his papers, then back up at the president. It says we are coming home. We will return for what is ours. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Then General Brown spoke up. How long do we have? Dr. Foster had been working on that question. She had calculated how far away the aliens were based on the delay between signals. Based on the signal delay and the increasing frequency of messages, Julie said, I estimate they'll arrive in about 3 years. 3 years to what? Asked President Carter. 3 years to decide what we're going to do when they get here. Dr. Park had been studying the alien databases inside the ship. He had found records of other worlds, other species that the aliens had visited. They're not conquerors, Kevin told the group. From what I can see in their records, they're teachers. They visit young species, help them grow, then move on to help others. Then why did they leave their ship here? General Brown asked. Maybe they didn't plan to, Maya said. Maybe something happened 30,000 years ago that forced them to leave it behind. Tony had been working in the ship's computer systems. He had found something that might be important. The ship has a timer, Tony said. It's been counting down for 30,000 years, and it's almost at 0. A timer for what? Amy asked. I'm not sure, but when it reaches 0, something is going to happen. Dr. Bennett had been studying the ship's structure. She had noticed that parts of it were changing, growing, adapting to the human technology they had connected to it. The ship is learning from us just like we're learning from it, Claire said. It's becoming part of our technology, and our technology is becoming part of it. What does that mean? President Carter asked. Claire looked worried. It means we might not be able to separate ourselves from this ship even if we wanted to. We've become connected to it. Late that night, Maya stood alone in the ship's control room. The symbols on the walls pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. She touched the main control panel, and new symbols appeared. For a moment, she felt like she could almost understand them. Like the ship was trying to tell her something important about what was coming. The signal from space was getting stronger every day, and somewhere out in the darkness between the stars, they were coming home. 3 years and 2 months after the first signal was detected, they came. Dr. Julie Foster was working the night shift at the radio telescope when her equipment started going crazy. Every screen lit up with signals so strong they almost broke her machines. Maya, wake up, Julie said into her radio. They're here. Admiral Jake Turner, who used to be Captain Turner, was in the command center within 10 minutes. He looked at the readings on Julie's screens and felt his stomach drop. How many ships? He asked. I count 12, maybe 15. They're big, Maya, much bigger than the ship we found. Maya arrived at the command center, still wearing her sleep clothes. Through the big windows, she could see lights in the sky that weren't stars. The lights were moving, coming closer. Get President Johnson on the phone, Maya said, and wake up the whole first contact team. President Mark Johnson had taken over when President Carter's term ended. He was younger than Carter, but just as serious about the alien ship problem. He arrived at the Antarctic base by military jet, just as the alien ships reached Earth's atmosphere. The alien ships didn't land, they didn't attack, they just stopped, hanging in the sky like dark clouds, waiting. Dr. Sam Wright was ready. For 3 years, he had been preparing for this moment. He had learned as much of the alien language as he could from the ship's computers. Now it was time to see if he could really talk to them. The first message came at dawn, not through radio, but through the ship itself. The symbols on the walls began moving and changing faster than ever before. New patterns appeared that Sam had never seen. They're talking through the ship, Sam told the group gathered in the control room, using it like a telephone. What are they saying? Admiral Turner asked. Sam studied the symbols for several minutes before answering. They want to talk, face to face. The meeting was set for noon, in a field near the ship. The aliens would send down representatives, and Earth would send its first contact team. Maya, Admiral Turner, Sam, and President Johnson would speak for all humanity. When the alien shuttle landed, it made no sound. The ship was white and smooth, shaped like a teardrop. A door opened in its side, and they came out. Maya had seen pictures of them carved on the ship's walls, but seeing them in person was different. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with long arms and legs. Their skin was pale and seemed to glow slightly in the sunlight. Their eyes were large and dark, and when they looked at her, Maya felt like they could see right through her. The alien leader walked forward. When he spoke, his voice was soft but clear. The words came through a small device he carried that translated his language into English. I am called by a name that your language cannot say, the alien said. You may call me Guide, for that is what my people have always been to yours. President Johnson stepped forward. I am Mark Johnson, President of the United States and representing Earth. We welcome you back to our world. Guide looked around at the humans, then at the ship behind them. We thank you for caring for our vessel. We have come to reclaim it and continue our journey. Maya felt her heart sink. This was what she had been afraid of for 3 years. Guide, she said, we need to talk about that. The negotiations started immediately. The humans set up a large tent near the ship, where both sides could meet comfortably. Guide brought 2 other aliens with him. The humans brought their best negotiators and scientists. "We understand that you have studied our ship," Guide said. "This is as we expected. Young species are curious, and curiosity leads to growth. We've done more than study it," Admiral Turner said. "We've integrated its technology into our civilization. The ship's medical systems are saving millions of lives. Its power source is providing clean energy to entire cities." Guide was quiet for a moment. "You have bonded with our technology. This is ... unexpected." Dr. Foster, who had joined the negotiating team, leaned forward. "Guide, our species has grown because of your ship. We've advanced centuries in just 3 years. Taking it away now would be like taking away our future." "Perhaps," Guide said, "but the ship contains knowledge and power that young species are not ready for. We have seen what happens when civilizations advance too quickly. They destroy themselves." Sam had been listening carefully to Guide's words. Something about the way the alien spoke bothered him. "Guide," Sam said, "you talk about young species like you've dealt with many of them. Are we not the first?" "You are not the first," Guide admitted. "We have nurtured dozens of species across the galaxy. Some have grown wise and joined the greater community. Others have used advanced technology for war and destruction. And which are we?" President Johnson asked. Guide looked at each human in the tent. "That remains to be seen." The talks continued for hours. The humans presented everything they had learned from the ship. Rachel Green showed medical advances that had eliminated cancer and heart disease. Tony Mitchell demonstrated power systems that could provide clean energy forever. Claire Bennett explained how the ship's technology could help humans explore space safely. But Guide and his people were not impressed by the technology. They were more interested in how humans had used it. "You have shared the medical advances with all your people?" Guide asked Rachel. "Yes, every country on Earth has access to the treatments. You have not used the power systems to build weapons." "No," Tony said. "We've used them to replace nuclear power plants and coal plants, to make clean energy for everyone. And the ship's defensive systems, you have not tried to copy them for military use." Admiral Turner was quiet for a moment before answering. "We've studied them, but we haven't built any weapons based on them. We've focused on peaceful uses." Guide seemed surprised by this. He spoke quietly with the other aliens in their own language. When he turned back to the humans, his expression had changed. "This is unusual," he said. "Most species immediately try to weaponize any technology they find. We're not most species," Maya said. Dr. Murphy, who had been studying the ship's genetic records, had been quiet during most of the talks. But now he spoke up. "Guide, I've been studying the ship's medical bay. I found something I think you should know about." "What have you found?" "Human DNA has been modified, changed, and the changes match patterns I found in the ship's genetic database." Guide went very still. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that humans aren't just another species. You helped. We're your children. Genetically, literally, your children." The tent went completely quiet. Guide stared at Murphy for a long time before speaking. "You have discovered this on your own?" "Yes. The evidence is clear. Humans carry genetic markers that don't exist in any other Earth species. Markers that match the alien patterns in your ship." Guide turned to speak with his companions again. This conversation was longer and more intense. Maya could see that they were arguing about something. When Guide turned back, he looked troubled. "Dr. Murphy is correct. 30,000 years ago, we did more than just teach your ancestors. We ... improved them, made them capable of growth beyond what they could achieve naturally." "Why?" President Johnson asked. "Because we saw potential in your species, a capacity for cooperation and compassion that was rare among young civilizations. We wanted to give you the tools to fulfill that potential, and now Maya asked. Guide was quiet for a long moment. Now we must decide if you have used those tools wisely. That evening, the alien delegation returned to their ships to discuss what they had learned. The humans gathered in the command center to plan their next move. They're testing us, Maya said. This whole thing is a test to see if we're ready for their technology. What happens if we fail? Admiral Turner asked. I don't know, Maya said, but I don't think we want to find out. Outside, the alien ships continued to hang in the sky, waiting for a decision that would determine the future of both species. The talks broke down on the fourth day. Guide and his people had made their position clear. The ship was too dangerous for humans to keep. They had seen too many young civilizations destroy themselves with advanced technology. They would take the ship and leave Earth to develop naturally. President Johnson's answer was just as clear. Humanity would not give up technology that had become part of their civilization. Too many lives depended on it now. Too many people would die if the ship was taken away. We understand your concerns, President Johnson told Guide in their final meeting. But we are not children anymore. We have proven that we can use your technology responsibly. Responsible use for 3 years does not prove wisdom for 3 centuries, Guide replied. We have watched species like yours before. They always believe they are ready for more power than they can handle. Then we disagree, Johnson said. Yes, Guide said sadly. We disagree. The alien ships moved that night. Instead of hanging peacefully in Earth's atmosphere, they spread out around the planet, not attacking, but making it clear that Earth was surrounded. Admiral Turner called an emergency meeting with all the world's military leaders. For the first time in human history, every country on Earth was working together. The threat from space had united them in a way nothing else ever had. We have advantages they might not expect, Turner told the assembled generals and admirals. We've been studying their technology for 3 years. Our ships now use power systems based on theirs. Our weapons are stronger. Our defense is better. General Lisa Thompson, who commanded the European Space Defense Force, looked worried. Jake, they've been using this technology for thousands of years, maybe millions. Are we really going to fight them? If we have to, Turner said. But I hope it doesn't come to that. Dr. Kevin Park had made a discovery that changed everything. While studying the ship's computer systems, he found evidence that the aliens had been controlling their research all along. They've been guiding us, Kevin told Maya and the science team. Every breakthrough we made, every discovery, they allowed it to happen. The ship was programmed to only teach us certain things. What do you mean? Claire asked. I mean, we never really figured out their technology on our own. The ship was teaching us exactly what they wanted us to learn, at exactly the speed they wanted us to learn it. Maya felt angry. They've been treating us like children this whole time. Worse than that, Kevin said. They've been treating us like pets. The discovery spread quickly through the human leadership. Politicians who had been willing to negotiate became angry. Scientists who had felt grateful for the alien knowledge felt manipulated. Military leaders who had been cautious became determined to fight. Dr. Claire Bennett led a group of scientists who refused to accept that humans were too young for advanced technology. We've proven ourselves, Claire said during a broadcast to the world. We cured diseases. We ended our energy crisis. We stopped fighting wars over resources. How is that not proof that we're ready? But the aliens had their own supporters among humans. Dr. Martinez still believed that humans might not be ready for the responsibilities that came with such advanced technology. Look at our history, Martinez said during a debate with Claire. Every time we've gained new power, we've used it to hurt each other. Nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons. Why should this be different? Because it already is different, Claire shot back. We've had this technology for 3 years, and we haven't built a single weapon with it. The standoff continued for weeks. The alien ships stayed in position around Earth, human ships, now powered by alien technology. took defensive positions around major cities and the ship site in Antarctica. Dr. Sam Wright worked desperately to find a peaceful solution. He spent his days trying to communicate with Guide through the ship's systems, looking for some compromise that both sides could accept. There has to be something, Sam said to Dr. Amy Davis, his language partner. Some middle ground, maybe. There isn't, Amy said sadly. Maybe some disagreements are too big to compromise on. Dr. Steve Allen, who had joined the translation team, had been studying the alien databases for weeks. He found something that might be important. Sam, look at this, Steve said, showing him a file from the ship's memory. The aliens didn't just help humans. They helped dozens of species, and most of them failed. Sam studied the records. Species after species had been given advanced technology, and species after species had destroyed themselves with it. Wars, environmental destruction, social collapse. The pattern was always the same. Only 3 species in their records ever successfully made the transition to advanced civilization, Steve said. 3 out of 47. What made those 3 different? Sam asked. Steve highlighted sections of the alien records. They all did the same thing. They refused to give the technology back. Maya couldn't sleep. For weeks, she had been walking through the ship at night, trying to understand what the aliens really wanted. The ship seemed different now, more responsive to her presence. Sometimes she felt like it was trying to tell her something. On a cold night, in what used to be winter, Maya sat in the ship's control room and placed her hands on the main console. The symbols on the walls began to glow and change, but this time, they formed patterns she had never seen before. Dr. Ryan Murphy found her there in the morning, still sitting at the console, with her hands on the controls. Maya, are you all right? He asked. Maya looked up at him with tired eyes. Ryan, I think I understand what this is really about. What do you mean? The ship isn't just a spaceship. It's a test. The whole thing, everything that's happened. It's all been a test. Ryan sat down next to her. A test of what? A test to see if we're grown up enough to keep what we've learned. Dr. Murphy had been studying the genetic records in the ship's medical bay. He had found something that he hadn't told anyone else yet. Something that scared him. Maya, there's something else. Something about human genetics that I haven't shared with the team yet. What is it? The genetic changes they made to humans 30,000 years ago. They weren't just improvements. They were safeguards. Maya felt cold. What kind of safeguards? If humans ever became too aggressive, too warlike, the genetic changes would activate. They would make us less capable of violence, more cooperative. And the safeguards are activating now. They have been for the past 3 years. Ever since we found the ship, we're becoming more peaceful whether we want to or not. Maya stared at the symbols on the wall. They're still controlling us, or protecting us from ourselves. Captain Susan Miller commanded the Earth Defense Fleet. She was a tough woman who had worked her way up from private to captain through 2 decades of military service. Her ships were positioned around Earth, ready to fight if the aliens attacked. But Susan was beginning to wonder if fighting was the right answer. Admiral Turner, she said during their daily briefing, what if we're approaching this all wrong? What do you mean? What if this isn't about the ship at all? What if it's about something else? Turner looked at her carefully. Explain. The aliens could have taken the ship by force on the first day. They have more ships, better technology, and they've been using it for thousands of years, longer than we have. So why haven't they? Because they don't want to. Because taking it by force would prove that we're not ready for it. Turner was quiet for a moment. You think they want us to keep it? I think they want us to prove that we deserve to keep it. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Foster, who had been monitoring alien communications, detected a message that wasn't meant for human ears. It was a transmission between the alien ships, and it changed everything. They're arguing, Julie told the emergency council meeting. The aliens are arguing among themselves about what to do with us. What are they saying? President Johnson asked. Half of them want to take the ship and leave, but the other half think we've passed their test. They think we should be allowed to keep the technology. Guide himself was apparently leading the faction that wanted to let humans keep the ship. Why? Maya asked. Because we've done something no other species has done. We've integrated their technology into our civilization without using it for war, and because we're refusing to give it back. How is refusing to give it back a good thing? Julie smiled for the first time in weeks. Because children give things back when adults tell them to. Adults keep what they've earned. The standoff was reaching its end. One way or another, the situation would be resolved soon. Both sides had made their positions clear. Now it was time to see who would blink first. But Maya was beginning to suspect that blinking was never part of the test at all. The answer came from the ship itself. Maya was working late in the control room when every screen in the ship suddenly lit up. Symbols she had never seen before filled the walls, moving and shifting in patterns that almost hurt to look at. But, somehow, she could understand them. The ship was showing her its true purpose. Get everyone here now, Maya said into her radio. Sam, Tony, Ryan, everyone. The ship is trying to tell us something important. Within an hour, the entire science team was gathered in the control room. The symbols continued to move on the walls, but now they were changing more slowly, as if the ship was trying to make sure the humans could understand. Dr. Sam Wright stared at the walls in amazement. It's a complete historical record. The ship is showing us its entire mission. What mission? Tony asked. Sam translated as fast as he could. 30,000 years ago, the aliens didn't just visit Earth to help humans. They came here to conduct an experiment. What kind of experiment? Maya asked, though she was beginning to suspect she already knew. They wanted to see if a species could be given advanced knowledge and still choose cooperation over conquest. Every other species they had tested had failed. Humans were their last attempt. The ship's displays changed, showing images of other worlds, other species that had been given similar gifts. Everyone had used the technology for war, for domination, for destruction. Species after species had wiped themselves out within decades of receiving advanced knowledge. The ship wasn't just a gift, Dr. Ryan Murphy said, understanding flooding his face. It was a test. The ultimate test. A test of what? Captain Susan Miller asked. She had come down from her command ship when she heard about Maya's discovery. Test to see if we would try to keep it, Maya said. Not because we wanted power, but because we had learned to use it responsibly. The symbols on the wall shifted again, showing new information. Tony worked frantically to understand what the ship was trying to communicate. The ship was designed to integrate with whatever civilization found it, Tony said, to become part of their technology, part of their society. If they used it for peaceful purposes, it would help them grow. If they used it for war, it would ... double quotes. Tony stopped. It would what? Admiral Turner asked. It would destroy itself and take their civilization with it. The room went quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. For 3 years, they had been living with a weapon that could have ended human civilization at any time. But it didn't destroy itself. Dr. Claire Bennett said slowly. We passed the test. More symbols appeared on the walls. Dr. Steve Allen and Dr. Amy Davis worked together to translate them. The ship is saying that humans are the first species to pass all phases of the test, Amy said. We found the ship, we studied it peacefully, we shared its benefits with all our people, and now we're refusing to give it up. Refusing to give it up is part of the test. President Johnson asked. The most important part, Steve said, it proves that we see ourselves as equals to the aliens, not as their children waiting for permission. Dr. Foster's equipment detected new activity from the alien ships. But this time, it wasn't threatening. The ships were changing formation, moving into what looked like a ceremonial pattern. "They're coming down," Julie said. "All of them." Guide's ship landed first, followed by the others. But when the aliens emerged, they weren't alone. With them came beings that looked different from Guide's people. Tall and thin like the aliens, but with skin that glowed with different colors. Representatives from the other species, Guide explained when he met with the human leadership. "The 3 species that passed our tests before you, they wanted to meet their newest equals." The ceremony took place at sunset. All the alien ships had landed around the buried vessel, their lights creating a circle of soft illumination. Humans and aliens stood together as Guide spoke. "For 30,000 years, we have searched the galaxy for species capable of wisdom," Guide said. "Most civilizations destroy themselves when given power beyond their maturity. But a few, like yours, prove that intelligence and compassion can grow together." President Johnson stepped forward. "Guide, we're honored by your trust, but we want to be clear about something. We're not keeping this technology just for ourselves." "What do you mean?" "We mean that if there are other young species out there who need help, who need guidance, we want to help them too." Guide's expression changed. For the first time since the aliens had arrived, he looked genuinely surprised. "You would take on the responsibility of nurturing other civilizations?" "If that's what being a mature species means, then yes." Guide spoke quietly with the other alien representatives. Their conversation lasted several minutes. When he turned back to the humans, Maya could see something like pride in his large, dark eyes. "This is why you have passed the test," Guide said. "Not because you mastered our technology, but because you understand the responsibility that comes with it." The ship's engines activated for the first time in 30,000 years. But instead of preparing to leave Earth, the ship was connecting itself to the planet's communication networks, linking with every satellite, every computer, every device that could receive its signal. "What's it doing?" Tony asked, watching his instruments go crazy. "It's becoming part of Earth's infrastructure," Dr. Bennett said, with wonder in her voice. "Permanently." Guide nodded. "The ship now belongs to humanity. But more than that, humanity now belongs to the galactic community. You have responsibilities to other species, just as we once had responsibilities to you." Dr. Foster's equipment was detecting new signals from deep space. Not threats this time, but invitations. Messages from dozens of alien civilizations welcoming Earth to the community of advanced species. "There's so much out there," Julie said, tears in her eyes as she listened to the signals. "So many different kinds of life, so many civilizations to meet and learn from. And someday," Guide said, "there will be young species that need your help, just as you once needed ours." Maya looked up at the alien ships, their lights reflecting off the ship that had changed everything. "What happens now?" "Now you grow," Guide said. "You explore, you learn, you help others learn. The ship will take you to the stars when you're ready." "How will we know when we're ready?" Guide smiled, the first time Maya had seen him do that. "You'll know." The aliens didn't leave immediately. They stayed for several weeks, sharing knowledge and technology that would help humans take their first steps into the larger galaxy. But eventually, it was time for them to go. "Will we see you again?" Maya asked Guide as he prepared to board his ship. "Perhaps, but probably not for a very long time. We have other species to find, other tests to conduct, and you have your own journey to begin. What if we make mistakes? What if we're not as ready as you think we are?" Guide placed a long, gentle hand on Maya's shoulder. "Maya Rodriguez, every species makes mistakes. The difference between children and adults is not that adults don't make mistakes. It's that adults learn from their mistakes and take responsibility for fixing them. Will the ship help us?" "The ship will do whatever you need it to do. It belongs to you now, completely. But remember, with great gifts come great responsibilities." As Guide's ship lifted off, Maya felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They were part of something much bigger, much more wonderful than they had ever imagined. But they were also responsible for living up to the trust that had been placed in them. 6 months later, the first human ship powered by alien technology left Earth's solar system. Its mission was to explore nearby star systems and look for signs of young civilizations that might need guidance. Maya was the captain of that ship. In her quarters, she kept a small piece of metal from the original alien vessel. Sometimes she would hold it and remember the day they found the ship buried in Antarctic ice. She thought about how far humanity had come, from a single buried ship to membership in a galactic community. From children looking up at the stars to adults ready to help other children find their way. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and for the first time in human history, they were ready to explore it, not as conquerors, but as teachers. Dr. Foster's voice came over the ship's communication system. Captain Rodriguez, we're receiving a signal from the 4th planet of the system we're approaching. It looks artificial, possibly from an early technological civilization. Maya smiled and settled into the captain's chair. Set course for the 4th planet, Julie. Let's go see if someone needs our help. The ship turned toward the distant world, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of Earth, and the responsibility to help other species find their own path to the stars. The test was over. The real work was just beginning.